to You're Wrong About Musicals. I'm Esme,
And I'm Nell.
and today we are going to be talking about Mary Poppins.
Esme saw Mary Poppins.
I saw
last
Mary
week.
Poppins last Friday. It was kind of magical. I really needed that in my life. I didn't cry actually. I heard some absolutely unhinged conversation happening behind me at the interval. I was like, what the fuck is going on? We are at a children's show, sir. But we'll talk about it this week because I was like, this is for the podcast, not because I'm about to have a mental breakdown. You know? But first, we have some news.
Yeah, Esme, read out this first one. We're bringing back Gatsby Corner, everyone. Due to the high demand, we're bringing back Gatsby Corner. Esme, take it away. The big news.
This is my beat. I made it my beat. I have to see this thing through. Gatsby Corner has taken me.
Esme loves this news.
No,
Esme's
I don't.
a big fan.
Ryan McCartan.
Just say it.
What was I going to say? I saw someone say on Twitter, the worst thing about this is like he's going to be so annoying now. You have to admit he's a bit annoying.
Yes.
He's going to be really annoying.
Maybe.
Now. Like, there was an April Fool's joke saying that Rachel Zegler had been cast as in the movie musical of Heathers, and he made a 10-minute long YouTube video about it and about how he didn't like it. No, but it makes sense as a big enough name, and I'm seeing people excited about it. Yeah. Now, do you want to talk about this next piece of news? Because it's big for you. Well, it's big for me as well, but it feels very personal to you.
It's absolutely massive for me. I actually nearly screamed when I saw it.
Yeah.
On Monday, February 17th, 2025, there is going to be a concert production of Anastasia at the Lincoln Center. Christy Altamont will be in it. And I was looking, literally right now, Mary Beth P.L is going back. John Bolton is going back.
Yeah.
It's Alex Joseph Grayson as Dimitri.
Mm-hmm.
John Bolton as Vlad. Jordan Donica as Gleb. And Rachel York as Countess Lily. And then everyone else has their same roles.
Yeah.
Well, they've also got the dancers. Tilla Peck as Odette, Roman Major and Chun Wei Chan as the Swan Lake partners for Quartet at the Ballet.
Yeah.
Quartet at the Ballet.
Quartet at the Ballet.
I'm over the moon. I will not be able to go see it, and that infuriates me. But this is a big step forward.
It's a step forward in Anastasia Land, and we need everyone we can get.
Here's how Rachel Zegler as Anya can still win.
Yeah.
Bring it to London, please.
To London, please. I'm begging you. Please. It'd be a good Christmas show.
It's a good Christmas show. It's a good winter show.
It's a good everyday show.
I feel like you could even do it in spring.
Here's the thing. No matter if, I'm not going to say if because I know it's going to happen at some point. When Anastasia comes to the West End, we're putting it out there.
When Anastasia comes here.
When Anastasia comes here, we will see it any time of the year that is happening. Yeah.
We will see it in the middle of August if we have to.
We will see it on the hottest day of the year, if that's what it takes.
I love Anastasia so much.
No.
I would never watch a bootleg. However,
if you had,
if someone at this performance would maybe film a little bit of it.
A little bit.
I'm not saying I'd report it.
You would have to watch it though to make sure that you knew you were getting
I'd have
the right
to check.
one. Yeah. Anyway.
They should hire me as the person who has to take them all down. You know, watch them and check for copyright.
They're real.
Yeah. That's my dream job.
That is actually one of my dream jobs.
It kind of is.
To do that show. On to something else that is very important to us. How do we explain this?
Okay, currently in the UK, we have a Labour government.
We do. Headed by Keir Starmer.
Two-tier Keir, as many have called him.
Yeah. But not to be here about Molly May and Tommy Fury's breakup.
It is an actual thing that, like, right-wingers call him two-tier Keir.
And, like, Keir. Never hear.
Yeah.
Never hear Keir.
Never hear Keir.
Because he's always doing his job, like, to other world
His name is just giving us endless possibilities, really.
Yeah. Dishy Rishi was good, though.
Dishy Rishi was good. Boris, I feel like we missed out on a little bit.
We were too busy with the pandemic for Boris.
Yeah.
Theresa May just not. Oh, I've got to tell you about one of my favourite tweets that I've seen. Aside from this. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. Anyways, Keir Starmer, head of Labour in the UK, Prime Minister. And they introduced, or want to introduce.
It's not, like, fully happened yet. They've just said they're going to do it. Someone who studies policy, a lot of what they say they're going to do or what they actually do, two completely different things.
It's this inheritance tax.
Mm-hmm.
where it's basically saying for farmers, it's like if your farm is worth over like £3 million,
Yeah.
then when your children inherit it, they all have to pay a tax on it.
Yeah.
And the farmers are furious about this.
Whole
The
farmers
farmers
being.
are up in arms.
They
And
brought
key
their
farmers here, some very well-known farmers. Jeremy Clarkson
Yep.
from
Nigel
Top Gear,
Farage.
Nigel Farage, he was seen there, and of course the big one that we all know, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Andrew Webber, he is actually a farmer. So he's given up musicals and now is a farmer. He's just a humble little farmer
Humble little
who
farmer with a farm worth over £3 million.
wait, I think
And
wait, is
really
his farm
no other assets.
is his farm wait, is his farm the Thingamabob? The name slipped my brain.
Sandringham?
No,
I
Sandringham's a
don't think it
palace.
is. No, you're right. Whatever his little mansion is, no, I don't think so. I think that is just a mansion.
Okay.
I think he has a London townhouse in
Sydmonton.
New York, Sydmonton. He has a London townhouse somewhere in New York, somewhere I believe in France, but that might be fake.
That sounds like something he would do, yeah.
Yeah, I might be making that up though.
He has like
Sydmonton
offices
and
above,
now a farm.
He has like offices above Drury Lane.
Yeah,
We can hang out next to Drury Lane more.
He owns like 8 theatres.
He's a fucking
But
landlord.
the big issue is his kids might not be able to inherit the farm. It's a big deal.
So Andy had to show up at the protest and make his support known. With his dog that he got as therapy, post cats.
Little therapy dog. Mojito.
Do you remember that video of him like really cuntily walking down the street with Mojito?
Yes.
I think
yes, I do. Yeah, so the farmers descended on London in their tractors to protest this.
We are such a serious.
And keep in mind, a lot of these farmers were the same ones who were like the Just Stop Oil guys who sit in the road, kill them, death penalty, bring it back.
They also voted for Brexit and voted for the Conservatives. So maybe this tax rearrangement wouldn't be having to happen if you guys had just like not voted for austerity.
Exactly.
Andy?
There's a lot of things of basically like most of these guys aren't gonna be impacted by it.
No. They just think they are.
And it's just kind of one of those things of like, but what if this happens to me? My favorite thing I saw on it was from Politics for You. Love this account. And they said breaking 20,000 people apparently free on a Tuesday morning.
I liked a photo of Theresa May now that all the farmers are in London. It's a photo of her photoshopped in a field.
Yeah.
You don't know Theresa May, one of our former prime ministers. She said that she used to go running through a field. If you're ever bored, look up Theresa May and Liz Truss clips. They are Liz Truss. I need to be whatever she's on.
It's so the post thing, just to put it out there, of what they hate, life-changing policy that will kill their livelihoods.
Their farms.
10%.
They're farms that they work on every single day. Like Andrew Lloyd Webber wakes up and goes, "I'm going to go work on my farm."
Of course. A 10% tax on land worth over £3 million with the option to spread that over 10 years. You can pay it back over 10 years, guys. And again, Politics for You, love this account, said that is a legitimate reason to protest, but a full-scale genocide isn't. You know what? Make it 20% them. I think Keir Starmer also said something where he was like, I don't want to get into the habit of commenting on what Jeremy Clarkson is saying.
You saw that? We're so back, baby.
And let's be clear. Andrew Lloyd Webber, insane man, a Tory.
Here's the thing. Andy, we did call him a Lib Dem last week, because last we heard he was a Lib Dem. Now it seems like he's gone back to his Tory ways. This is like
here's the thing. I don't think he has. Because I think he's pissed at them for how they treated the arts.
I think he's just annoyed about his farm. That I didn't know he had.
That is a very well-known part of his personality.
When I saw him at the protest, I laughed and was like, of course, this is a place he would be.
It's insane.
God, wait, my friend was explaining cats to someone this weekend, and she was like, yeah, it's about, like, cats. What else? And he was like, that sounds like that train musical you went to go see. And she was like, well, they're by the same guy. And then he went, does this guy just really like making musicals about inanimate objects?
Yeah.
And to that I say, you cannot put this man in a box.
He's an enigma. But Anyways, happy to see he's still alive. I know he said he was alive and working on his musical, but I hadn't seen him in a while.
And also,
I'm glad he's still got that political fight in him for the things that really matter, like his farm.
I was saying, like, Andy hasn't been crazy in a while. Like, he's been really sane and normal. Like, just doing his little press.
Like, really, unfortunately, since about the pandemic, he really toned down.
No, Bad Cinderella was his last I'm being fucking mental.
Which I would still call, that was like 2021, 2022. That was still kind of pandemic-y.
Yeah.
Since then, he was kind of just normal.
Post Bad Cinderella, he's been really sane.
Like, you know, he let other people take the reins on a lot of his productions.
He did get a poltergeist to go exercise a ghost from his house earlier this year.
But you can't fault the guy for that. At least it wasn't his farm.
It was his London townhouse.
It's his London townhouse. Oh my god. I need to get into Andrew Lloyd Webber's will. Like,
is it a life goal?
Every time I think about it, I think it really is. It's I think 8 theatres, 4 houses, and farm.
Do you know what I realised this week? What? Sorry, as I was putting something together, I need to go for lunch with Cameron Mackintosh. Like, get a bit tipsy at lunch with Cameron Mackintosh. I need to chat. I need to talk. Cameron, I know you like to gossip. Let's gossip.
I need to do, like, a Christmas lunch with, like, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Cameron Mackintosh.
That's it. I'll be there.
John M. Chu, for fun.
I need to know what happened on that Wicked set, I'm sorry.
Doing Kenny Ortega, but that's a, like, personal thing for me.
That's personal to you, yeah.
I want Keir Starmer to be there, I think.
Oh, I need Cameron Mackintosh, Keir Starmer, and Andrew Lloyd Webber to all be in the same room together. That'd be really weird. We need to stop making dinner parties.
The amount of dinner parties we've had to cut out of us talking on this fucking podcast is actually insane.
Yeah.
We keep doing it.
On the note of Wicked, the next point we just wrote down is Wicked, because it's release week. It's, as of recording, it is releasing in 2 days, which is absolutely crazy. Because
Wicked,
years of my life.
A Wicked movie.
My entire life.
Yeah, for about 20 years.
I literally had a bit literally. Yeah, because I booked tickets to go see it today. I'm seeing it on Saturday, a day after it comes out, so I don't get too spoiled. I know you can't be spoiled, but like I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with the extra runtime. And everyone is saying it is the greatest movie of all time, and I'm intrigued.
I really want to see it. I think I'm going to wait until I'm home for Christmas. I'm going to try and get my daddy to take me. Well, he's already seen it. My dad went to a premiere, not any of the cool ones, but a boring one.
He still went to one though.
Yeah, he did. He saw a drone show.
That's sick. Oh, well, it's not Wicked. And when I bought tickets today, I looked at my friend and I went, holy fucking shit, we've got tickets to see the Wicked movie. That's crazy.
You're going to see the Wicked movie? There's been a lot of, like, last minute, not even drama.
Just discourse.
Yeah, I
will say that it is completely fucked that all of the British newspapers seem to not be putting out photos of Cynthia Erivo.
Who's British?
British.
First of all.
She worked in the UK until 2016 when she went to go do The Colour Purple.
Like, she's a kind of British icon.
Homegrown talent.
Technically, Ariana Grande is the bigger name.
But also, like, they appear on red carpets together. It's not hard to find a photo of them
some
together.
Some of the photos look like they've cropped her out, which is insane.
Yeah.
And it is racism. Plain and simple. It is racism. This country is incredibly racist. It sucks. Like, institutionally, it's very racist.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, to be fair, the video I saw, I'm guessing you saw the same one. He was looking at, like, the Daily Mail, the Sun. Yeah. And I was like, you know, gotta hand it to him. Like, the most racist newspapers. So, obviously.
Doesn't make it right.
Doesn't make it right. But, you know, like, if any newspaper was going to do it, obviously it would be those ones. I think I saw, like, The Guardian in there or something, though.
I don't know.
Well, like, I feel like there was one newspaper where I was like, really?
Yeah.
Like, this blatantly racist? It might have been, like, The Times.
They've got the Daily Telegraph, The Times, the Daily Mail. Those are the 3 that they're using.
Well, I thought it was, like, the Daily Mail and the Sun. That's fucked, then. No. I mean, it was always fucked, but that's especially fucked.
It's always fucked, but now it's more fucked.
I feel there's probably more to talk about with Wicked, but it's also, I'm so exhausted by it. I love it. Cannot wait to see it. It is so much.
At this point, I'm like, just release the fucking movie. Like, I can't keep logging on and seeing the next round of Wicked discourse starting. And I just keep thinking to myself, I'm gonna have to do this all again next year. I wonder if next year's gonna be a toned down press
To be
run.
fair, I saw someone say that what we're getting right now for Wicked is probably about like 140% of a normal marketing because
Yeah,
they're trying to do a lot of the marketing now so it carries over for a year.
I hope that's
And
the
so like the
case.
hype stays on. Like so they'll do a kind of normal amount of marketing next year,
Yeah.
maybe slightly less, but you'll be like, "Oh yeah, Wicked, that massive thing from last
Wicked
year.
is back. Yay.
Oh,
I
the next one."
really I really hope that they're not both like this 'cause
I feel like they can't be because obviously this year as well was so the Wicked movie that we've been talking about for 20 years.
it's finally
It's here.
happening. Also, like even musical theatre people are still like one of my friends was like, I'm so excited to see the Wicked movie, and I was like, you know, it's part one, right? And she was like, no, because they've
Yeah.
excluded part one from all of their advertising
I know in the title screen they have it. The title screen looks sick. I've been seeing that a lot recently.
on the poster that's on the buses around her. They don't have it.
But to be fair, I'm
Yeah.
guessing it's one of those things where they might just reuse the same poster
Oh, well, yeah, I could see that.
to save money because they've
Yeah.
spent a ridiculous amount on it.
Oh, I feel sick thinking about how much money they've probably spent on Wicked.
I mean, it's very profitable. So,
It is, and it's nice to see a musical getting this much attention.
yeah.
Anyway,
I feel like we should move on because for about the past like 2 months, every single week has included us being like, Wicked is doing this, by the way.
Wicked is Wickeding. Anyway, this was supposed to happen last week. Apparently, I didn't realize this happened. Darkid released. What does that stand for again?
VHS Christmas Carol.
Yes, I knew it was a Christmas Carol.
So, like every year,
Derivative.
Darkid, every year for the past couple years at least.
I think since
I
like
want to say there's,
COVID.
yeah, so there's been like 3 or 4 of them. Starkid have done this thing called VHS Christmas Carol, which, to my understanding, because I have unfortunately never seen it, to my understanding, it is a kind of compilation of Christmas stories. So they all just get on and do a couple of stories. And it's musical, it's cute, it's cool. And they're obviously doing another one this year. And in the
Mm.
run up to it, I believe it's still up. It was still up last night when I wrote this down. I don't
Mm.
know how much longer it'll be up, slash if it will be up when this is uploaded. But they released like an hour or so long video of one of the shows or a compilation of some of the shows. I'm not sure either. I need to watch it before this year's performance, which is very fun. I love
Mm.
Star Kid. I love them being accessible.
Yes. Theatre is should be accessible, I believe. Oh, also forgot from last week, apparently the Broadway Beat are hiring new writers. This is an opportunity for us. Right, correct now. The Eyes of Tammy Faye is closing in December 8th, I believe, announced 5 days after opening for a total of 24 preview and 29 performances. Now, I have been thinking a lot about Tammy Faye since they announced it, and I have a couple of thoughts. I don't know whether or not people who know something about Tammy Faye would want to go see a musical about Tammy Faye right now, not because they don't love her and think she's a gay icon. She is a gay icon, but because of how entrenched American politics has become recently, because of how entrenched American politics have become in evangelical Christianity, and a lot of that stems from the characters that they were talking about in Tammy Faye. Jerry
Yeah.
Falwell's image looms large over what's happening currently within the Republican Party. I wish I didn't know so much about these people, so I didn't, when I was having my first election freak out, go, these people are winning and I hate them so much. I literally said like the Duggars are winning and I fucking hate the Duggars, meaning all evangelical Christians. But Tammy Faye is an interesting like person because she kind of went against a lot of the. I mean, these people claim to spread the word of Jesus and the word of love and the word of acceptance. They are not. They are fundamentally not those kind of people. But Tammy Faye was the exception, and I watched Mickey Joe Theatre's review about In the Eyes of Tammy Faye, and apparently they got one of the biggest moments of her career wrong. So she was a televangelist during the AIDS epidemic in the 80s, and obviously these people hate gay people still to this day. But Tammy Faye, she was like, "These are my brothers in Christ. I should love and respect them." So she wanted to have a pastor from LA who had AIDS on her show, and no one would allow it. They said that they'd walk out of the studio if he came on. So as a compromise, she did like a virtual thing. I don't know how the technology worked because it was the 80s, but she still did this interview of him, and there was this moment where she said she wished she could hug him, which is obviously very big because there was a lot of misconceptions around how AIDS was viewed. However, in the musical, they have it be that he's on stage with her, and it's like, oh, I don't know why we've changed that. And then they kind of like skip over the fact that she becomes like a big in the drag queen world in towards the end of her life, and like one of her children is now like deep with her father, Jim Baker. I think Jim Baker's still alive. Anyway, if he is, fuck you, Jim Baker. Like a televangelist who's probably fucking loving the moment. Like he is Project 25's biggest defender. I know far too much about these people. And then one of his sons, her son is like really chill and like just seems like a goth Christian. And to him I say rock on, love. And it doesn't seem like the musical really knows what to do with Tammy Faye. And I also, yeah, I just don't think this is the time when people want to go see a musical about the rise of
Yeah.
evangelical Christianity in America, especially not
I
one as campy.
feel as well, it seems so. I don't think this is the way I would like to phrase it, but it doesn't commit to the bit. It's halfway between like Tammy Faye, incredible person. Here's everything about her. I'm being very sanitized of like, but not everything. And
I
it's the same with like the camp bit. I would rather they just commit fully to that
and like
than
have the
be
drag
like,
queens who lifted her up at the end of her life post divorce, post exile from this world that she had spent her entire life in. Like have that be the story instead of the rise of, oh my god, what's it called? I cannot remember the name of her show, but will remember in a
yeah.
moment.
Yeah, I feel like it would have like this is weird to say, but I feel like it would have been better to do something like comedic and campy with drag
Mm-hmm.
queens rather than this like serious but not even like accurate. Just like fully, what is like the kind of word I'm looking for? I guess it is accurate. It's like if you're not gonna tell the actual truth about her story
Yeah.
and not like do every aspect of it that makes her Tammy Faye,
Yeah.
then don't do that. Make it more fun.
I like
Like you think
yeah.
of something like Jamie,
Yeah.
which tells a I'm not gonna say a similar story because it's not,
I mean it's
but
a story
in the
involving drag
same
queens, but
ballpark.
yeah, no, and it's also written by British people, which I don't think they were the writing team to take on a
Yeah.
deeply American topic.
But yeah, in that ballpark of it is a very serious topic, but it's also fun and campy. Like I think it's especially hard with stories about real people to try and compare them to each other. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of the things with Tammy Faye is not that
Mm.
it was bad luck.
Mm.
It's that it was, and again, I'm not a theatre producer. I don't want to start anything, but it seems like it was bad producing. It seems like poor decisions were made.
I'm in two minds about it. Honestly, I am, and I would love to love Tammy Faye as a musical. I love her as a cultural figure. I think she's very interesting. Um, so this is coming from a place of love, and I think her story does need to be told. And it has been told recently. There was the Jessica Chastain movie with her and Andrew Garfield. I think there is real drama and real meaning to be found in her story. And I mean the story I just told about her and the AIDS crisis and how she handled that. There is a real sense of drama and compellingness to that. So to almost do it over removes something quite interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, and these people
that's
also
kind of. I just feel like it
like
was handled wrong.
Tammy Faye has been a legend, like a niche legend for decades. So there
Yeah,
is a built-in audience for it, specifically gay men. Gay men love Tammy Faye. I'm not being stereotypical. Again, love this world. Get that. Make sure that they know it's happening. I can name an influencer who they should have had come to the show in previews and get word of mouth out to her followers. Fundy Fridays. She's done many videos on Tammy Faye. Get this into the
yeah.
people who want to hear it.
I really do just think it's like a mismanagement
Mm,
because if you had leaned into who her audience actually was and is, I think if you had leaned into that with the same show,
mm.
they would not be happy with it. Clearly, the show has been aimed at rich, white, straight theatre goers who can give them the money, but they don't fucking know who Tammy Faye is. They
I
don't
also
care.
Mickey Joe didn't know anything about Tammy Faye before going in, and he was confused. So it's not successful at telling the story, it's telling anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, much love to the cast and crew.
Much
I'm
love.
sure you did your best.
Much love to Autumn from Search Legally Blonde, The Search for Next Elwood on MTV. Love you, Queen.
Have we done Jinx Monsoon?
Oh my god, I skipped over Jinx Monsoon.
Jinx Monsoon, we talked about it last week.
Oh, Jinx, I love you. I'm so sorry.
I love you, Jinx Monsoon. We talked about it last week where we were like, we're waiting for her to announce her next show.
And like she did it like half an hour after we finished recording. It was so annoying.
Every time. She is in the very
Pirates.
weirdly named Pirates of Penzance musical.
They have only just announced that they're retitling it, which is
And it's like a Gilbert and Sullivan show, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's been
Like,
around.
old.
It's like an old musical.
I look it up.
Yeah, I want to say 50s.
Pirates of
50s. It's early. It's early, girls. So it makes sense that they're rejuvenating it. However, why do you wait this long to tell us that you're renaming it? Jinx, I'm so happy campaigning for your Tony. What?
That's insane, actually.
What?
So it's originally an opera.
Yeah, I think I knew that.
It's a comic opera in 2 acts. Its official premiere was at the Fifth Avenue Theatre in New York City on the 31st of December, 1879.
That's not the Gilbert and Sullivan version, is it?
Yes, it is.
This thing's old.
It had a movie that I think is the most well-known one in 1983.
Yeah.
And I want to say that it's been reworked. Yeah. A couple times.
Yeah.
Because obviously it is very old.
Yeah.
But okay, so it's called The Pirates of Penzance. And then I think it had a second name that like is not used anymore, which was like The Slave of Duty.
Yeah, I saw that when I was looking it up to work out what they've renamed it to.
And they have renamed it for some reason. Pirates, the Penzance musical.
Sure.
Which is insane.
Yeah, I love this for Jinx Monsoon so much, though.
Yeah.
That originating is not the right word, but you know what I mean by when I say originating.
Yeah.
Like she's eligible for awards.
Yeah. It's so like also this show is so like it's the show that I'm sure you know.
So I'm a modern major general.
Yeah.
I saw that song performed and I was like, yeah, this has Hamilton's DNA all over it.
Yeah. It's also got a fucking stupid plot. Like
yes.
it is the second I was like, oh, it's from 1879. I was like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
The plot is so fucking stupid. But
it's like
anyway.
the guy, he's enslaved or indentured, I think technically.
Yeah.
Which just means he's enslaved. And his like indenture is that he must remain in service until his first birthday. So he turns 21, he gets released. And then they come back and they're like, you're born on the 29th of February, a leap year. So you're not 21 years old. You have to come back into service.
I've also seen the song performed where it's like he discovers a girl for the first time.
Yeah. It's
amazing.
It's a great show.
The score actually slaps.
Yeah.
If they do a cast recording, I will be turning it up.
But yeah. And then, okay, so the modernized productions, there was Joseph Papp's 1981 Broadway production, which is the one that most people are aware of. But is the musical version. He produced a chorus line. I feel like I knew that.
He's the guy who started the Public Theatre.
He did.
Hence why it's called Joe's Pub at the Public.
Oh.
Yeah. Is he one of the guys who said that you don't?
I don't think he produced it, but the Public Theatre, he helped home or start for coloured girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow was enough, which is a great play.
I think he died.
Yeah, he died in 1991.
Yeah, because a bunch of the guys from that scene, only when AIDS broke out, said that they'd only sleep with each other not to get AIDS, and then one of them got AIDS and they all died.
Yeah.
Sad times.
He did hair.
Yeah, he's a legend.
I know this guy, and yet you said his name, and I was like, what?
I was like, I'm 90% sure he's the guy who started the Public Theatre, and if he is,
yeah,
he's a fucking legend.
Icon. But yeah, I just remember seeing it, and people were making a ton of great jokes about it.
Yeah, like sure.
It's a great way to name a show.
Yeah. Andrew
Mm.
Reynolds is in a Broadway show called All In with a stacked cast. I am always aware of this when they were doing the casting announcements. And then I was like, and then when it came time to write the news, I just forgot about it. I'm gonna also let you take the next piece of news.
Ballet shoes at
This
the
has been a
National.
big news week for now.
It's big for me. That's why I took the lead in writing these down. Ballet shoes at the National. They
Yeah.
released some rehearsal videos. Oh my God, I can't wait to go see it.
I am eyeing up one of the £10 tickets, but I don't know when.
I'm going with my mum
Cute.
the day after we see
Could you
Comet.
imagine if I get a ticket for that same night?
I can tell you right now, I think my mother has splurged because, in case you don't know this about me, Ballet Shoes is like my favorite book
Nell
ever.
made me read it once. It's a good book. I enjoy it.
It's great.
The Schmigadoon cast for Lincoln Center came out and it is stacked.
I know.
It is like crazy. Anne Harada, I love your work. I don't know how much I fucking love Anne Harada this week. I hate to beat a dead horse, but we all saw this one coming. Operation Mincemeat are doing normal pricing for Broadway, making it cheaper on Broadway compared to the West End, especially if they do rush. PG, $40 of this morning when I was writing this. The price of a rush ticket is 31 Great British pounds. If you weren't aware, it costs £80 to go sit in any seat at the Fortune Theatre and see Operation Mincemeat.
Just to be clear, the cheapest you can go see it here is 40 quid, 39.99.
Yeah.
Or like 39.50 or something. I'm gonna look at buying tickets for this.
The cheapest on Broadway
It starts at 8 p.m.
What, on Broadway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
8 p.m. showtime on Broadway.
Christ. Well, and then suddenly it changes to 7:30 for some
Well, yeah,
reason.
because on in previews you have rehearsals during the day.
Okay, so what I'm seeing is, I believe now actually the cheapest is $49, and the most expensive is $300, which is really good. I need to go check in on some people.
They've all bought tickets to go see it in America and see no issue. One person did, and I'm trying to find their tweet.
Hold on, I need to go through my blocked list settings.
So someone said, I'll ask, why can there be tickets for $49 on a Saturday in New York City, but in London it's 39? And then someone else tweeted, I feel like a show hitting 2 years in the West End and selling out most Saturdays. Then that price system probably is working for that market, but I'm sure they'll change it if you keep tweeting angrily about it. To which the original person just responded, don't be afraid to use that reply button next time. They're all flying out to go see it. I don't know where you people get your money from. Please let me know. I'm just curious, okay? Being a Mincemeat fan seems like it costs a lot of money.
I'm just like,
I don't even spend that much money on Taylor Swift, and I'm a Swiftie hand heart. I knew it was coming, and so like when the pre-sale happened, I was like, I'm just gonna log on and see what it is. And then when it was like normal pricing, I was like, okay, we're over, we're done. It's Jova.
in some ways, I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
This is a big step for British people.
They pulled off. Avalon had pulled off a con here.
Yeah. I do that tweet about like it working. It's the kind of thing of like, yeah, obviously, people want to go see shows.
People want to go see the self-proclaimed best reviewed show in the West End.
Being so real, if I could put on a silly little musical of just me and my friends and I could charge people a minimum of 40 quid to come see it, I would.
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck it.
Okay, now everyone's going, you guys haven't talked about this, you guys haven't talked about this. We're talking about it, bitches! So, the Hadestown Live from London album, that's how they're packaging it, Live from London, will be coming out on the 6th of December. Now, when I saw Hadestown West End recording announces a release date, I thought best day of my life. When I saw and it's live, I went best day of my life. I was shaken. I was like, this is everything I prayed for. God, I believe in you now. I'm free. You know? I literally sent the text to a friend going, I'm free. Shout out Karis. And then I looked at the track listing. And I serious. Where the fuck is Flowers? Sorry. If you've not seen it, basically.
Furious.
It's like a 20-track album. The original recording is 30 with all of the songs, and you'd think like random ass songs would be cut. No. It's like for the score important. So at first I was looking for it and I was like, where are the epics? And then you went, where is Flowers? And I went, fuck off.
They don't have flower.
Yeah. So
Oh my God.
it is 20 songs. It is Road to Hell, Come Home With Me. So we've scrapped Anyway the Wind Blows, which is quite important. Wedding Song, Living It Up on Top, All I've Ever Known Interlude, All I've Ever Known, which is currently out. Don't ask me how many times I've listened to it. Nell was trying to bitch about it, and I was just like, I'm too happy right now. I'm having too much of a good time. The joy I felt when Orpheus Burst started and it was still on fit. I smiled so wide. It's on Spotify.
No, I'm looking.
Way Down in Hades Town chant. Thank God. It is weird that there's no epic 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we have chant.
Just sure. Where the fuck is Eurydice?
Girl, where is Eurydice?
Where is she gone?
That is a very deep question, actually. But it's weird, and people are going, this is weird. Where is Our Lady of the Underground? Where is Flowers? Where is Cups?
My genuine hope, and I know that it's not going to happen, but I don't get it. Why have these songs been taken out?
There is a part of me that does feel a little bit bad for complaining.
Like, on the one hand, I'm very, very happy with finally getting it.
And I've
That we are
literally
finally
said,
getting
I
it.
want a live recording of Hades Town, and not only am I getting a live recording of Hades Town, it's the West End recording. Like, I'm, in a lot of ways, this is all I've ever asked for, but I'm so confused at the same time.
Full contrast and compare. We have Road to Hell. We miss Anyway the Wind Blows. We have Come Home With Me. We have Wedding Song. We miss Epic One.
It's fine, I have a bootleg. No, I don't. If it is Mitchell, I don't have a bootleg.
We have Living It Up on Top.
Actually, I don't feel bad for listening to my bootlegs if you won't give me the full thing, because I know you have it.
And then we have All I've Ever Known, Interlude and Song. Way Down Hades Town. We don't have A Gathering Storm.
No, we don't have Epic 2.
We don't have Epic 2. We do have Chance. We don't have Hey Little Songbird. What the fuck?
I actually really love Hey Little Song, but I know it freaks you out, but I find myself listening to it quite a bit.
It's growing on me, but it is a song that still kind of freaks me out a bit listening to it.
That's fair.
We then have both When the Chips Are Down.
Yeah. I do like When the Chips Are Down, though.
And then we don't have Gone, I'm Gone. We have both Wait For Me's, as in the interlude and the song. We have Why We Build the Wall, and Why We Build the Wall Behind Closed Doors.
And then we just go straight
Would you like
into
to hear
if
what
it's
we
true.
miss? Our Lady of the Underground, Way Down Hades Town reprise, Flowers, Come Home With Me reprise.
Yeah.
Both Papers and Nothing Changes. And then we get If It's True.
And then we get If It's True. Like,
And then do you know what else we miss? Possibly one of the best songs on the album, How Long.
You love How Long.
I love How Long, but I'm actually a Hades and Persephone girly by Anais Mitchell. Great song, which is the original one. You know what else we don't get?
What don't we get?
Can't reprise. Do you know about... Okay, we do get the original chant. I was going to say, if we didn't get either chant, I was going to lose it.
If we didn't get the original chant, I would do something drastic.
And then we have both epics. And I love that they danced.
I'm not complaining.
But then...
Promises.
We have Promises. And then do you know what we miss?
Doubt Comes In.
Not even that. Word to the Rise, Word to the Wise, Kiss the Riot, the intro to Wait For Me reprise. We have Wait For Me reprise. We then don't have Doubt Comes In. I love Doubt Comes In, and I can't keep listening to it.
It does feel like they've just given us the obvious fix. I'm sorry for all my campaigning. I feel like this is my issue. This is my fault. So they go from Wait For Me reprise into Road to Hell reprise. So come December 6th, I will be making my own mega mix of Hades Town. And it's going to be jarring as shit. And it's just going to be what I have to do. I'm just going to have to combine my my bootlegs. It's fine. You won't give a legal recording of them, and I cannot do the recording. Anyway, let's get into Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is a musical co-created by Cameron Mackintosh, a book by Julian Fellows, original music and lyrics by Richard Sherman and Robert Sherman, George Stiles and Anthony Drew. P.L. Travers was born in 1999 in Australia, the eldest daughter of a household of girls. Her father, Travers Golf, was a bank manager and a drinker who would die when she was 7. Her mother, Margaret, was pretty and feckless, soldiered on for a few more years. Then, when Helen, her real name, P.L Travers' real name, was 10, she committed suicide. She would later write about the experience of losing both of her parents at a young age. What happens to children who lose both their parents? Do they go to children's homes and wear embroidered dressing gowns? Embroidery is pretty damaging. That predicament, the fate of the children whose parents didn't take care of them, haunted her for a lifetime. What was happening on your phone again?
Huh?
Oh. Anyway, she no longer craved the unreliable. Oh, her mother lived after this suicide attempt. She no longer craved the unreliable, differing mother, but rather a formidable maiden great aunt, Helen Moorhead, Aunt Ellie, as she was called, bossed everyone around with her fierceness disguised as kindness she would have been embarrassed to admit. She would study elocution and eventually join the travelling Shakespeare Company, change her name at 21 to P.L Travers. She was the author of a spicy column called Women Hits Back and often published erotic rumications.
Hey,
1940. Yeah, fascinating woman.
icon.
In 1924, she would go to London, where she worked as a journalist, and submit her poems to the Irish Statesman, where she would meet poet George Russell, known as A.E., and then go see him in Dublin, where they would have a non-sexual relationship, they think. This is from a New York
Nice.
article.
Nice to clarify.
And most importantly to A.E.'s introductions, however, was not professional. She had a hunch that Travers was taking a liking for another single girl in London. Madge Bernhard, the daughter of one of his friends and former editor of Punch. The two women hit it off immediately. In 1931, they set up housekeeping in a cottage in Sussex. Madge did the cooking while Pamela wrote poems for the Irish Statesman and essays for New English Weekly, where they later served on the board with T.S. Eliot. It would be there in the winter of 1933 when she scumbled about of leprosy to her bed and began to write.
Okay. A fun woman so far.
Especially one to do such a quaint little tale as Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Travellers chose her subject as one of the great English preoccupations, nursery life. More to the point, within a subject she located a rich, reservedly untapped, vain experience, the relationship between the nanny and her charges. Travellers was writing at the end of the groundbreaking approach of children's literature that included the works of Lewis Carroll, Kenneth Mangrave, J.M. Brain, and A.E. Milhouse, each of them annexing vast territories of children's experience. Several years earlier, Travellers published a newspaper short about a comical nanny named Mary Poppins. More recently, A.E. gave her the advice, usually succeeded only in making her bad poetry worse, but gave her an inspired suggestion. He thought that she would write a story about a witch. The idea struck her. Why not make Mary Poppins into a shapeshifter? Sure, Jan.
Why not? You know what? Sure, why not?
Obviously, Travers did not write her books to commemorate a happy childhood, but she did seem interested in rewriting a bad one. The Banks family were a transformed version of the Goths. Their charming features magnified and their failures banished away. The father is a banker, although not a drunk, and the mother is a fidget-gibbet, although not a suicidal one. Yeah, that's what that word is.
Liberty-gibbet. Liberty-gibbet? I have no idea. I've never heard that before in my
No,
life.
nor have I.
I assume it's some kind of slur.
Google that word quickly.
I feel like it's just one of those words that is about a kind of ditzy woman.
Yeah. Found it.
What does it say?
A flirtuous, flightly, or extremely talkative person.
Okay, sure.
And Mary Poppins, like Aunt Ellie, is a great defeater, an enemy of any attempt at whimsy or sentiment. She considered not releasing the book and doing so anonymously. The publisher would hear of it. In the end, she need not be worried. The book came out in 1934, was not only popular with children, but received by an audience whose opinion she valued most. S. Eliot, who was then editor at Faber and Faber, expressed interest. Ted Hughes wrote a letter to tell her that Sylvia Plath loved Mary Poppins. Princess Margaret and Caroline Kennedy were both admirers. Over the course of the Mary Poppins run, the last book being published in 1988, a series of increasingly influenced by Travers' study of spiritualism, myth, and the occult. The prickly author was known to have been rebuffed many Hollywood suitors, including Samuel Goodwin. Travers who once again was living in London, was in and out of a tempestuous relationship with Jessie Orange, the widow of a new English weekly founder, Alfred Orange, of the Disney. So basically, then like Disney tries to court her, and they made a whole entire movie about this called Saving Mr. Banks, which is actually wrong because it paints like Disney as like this amazing guy, and like P.L Travers is just like this traumatized woman who is so like protective of her work because she's so traumatized, and like Disney makes her believe in love again. It's a whole thing. I've seen the movie. It's weird. Travelers recalled it was as he if it was as he were dangling a watch hypnotically in front of the eyes of a child. Disney's 15-year campaign of attention, flattery, and transcontinental telegrams and visits at long last, Travelers succeeded to the deal and gave her that gave her $1,500 and a cut of the gross, unheard of for Disney Studios, and script approval. She also said that the movie could not be a cartoon. So they had to come up with a new version of the Banks family because they had to make Mary Poppins a necessary person. Their first thought was to get rid of Mr. Banks. We were thinking about setting it during the Boer War and have his regiment called up. Then you could have a real happy ending when he came home. You could then they were like, actually, let's just make the father emotionally absent because this article goes on to say like nannies is a very British concept that an American audience wouldn't have really understood. So travelers would then go to California expecting to be deferred to completely. She was not awed by Disney's achievements as others were. Richard Sherman, who considered Walt Disney the greatest storyteller and maybe the greatest man of the 20th century, but Travers who discussed her poetry with William Butler Yeats, your bestie.
What?
Yeats? Who do you hate? Keats. Very similar names.
This is way after Keats.
I was about to say, I swear Keats was like ages. Shared Miss H. Basshead with T.S. Eliot. We had no idea he was coming to town, Richard Sherman recalled. Walt told us 2 days before she came, and then they were sent to a ranch in Palm Springs where they could read some scripts. So she eventually gives her approval, begrudgingly. The premiere was the first time travelers had seen the movie. She did not initially receive an invitation, but an embarrassed Disney studio executive sent her one. It was a shock. Afterwards, Richard Sherman recalled she tracked down Disney at a after party, which was held in a giant white tent in a parking lot adjoining the Chinese theatre. Well, she said loudly, the first thing that has to go is the animation sequence. Disney looked at her coolly. Pamela, the ship has sailed, and he strode past her into a throng of well-wishers, leaving her alone. An aging woman in a satin gown and evening gloves who had travelled more than 5,000 miles to attend a party where she was not wanted. Anyone who recognised her would have been forgiven for assuming that the tears were the product of either artistic delight or financial ecstasy. She owned 5% of the gross, and the movie made her rich. Neither was the case. The pictures she thought did a strange violence to her work. She would turn the personally disastrous premiere into a hilariously dining out story, with Disney as the butt of her jokes. So, Disney's Mary Poppins would go on to win 5 Academy Awards. After the movie's release, Travelers became a cottage industry, something she had loved and chafed against equal measure. By then, children's literature had become a legitimate academic field in America, particularly at women's colleges. At Smith and Radcliffe invited her to be a writer in residence. It was a mixed blessing. She relished in university life and the opportunities of prevaricating that it proved. Richard Sherman believes that Travelers' opinions of the movie changed depending on her audience. In private letters, including some with journalists, she meticulously criticized Disney's lack of subtlety and exclaimed his emasculation of characters. She habitually attached to the nervous caveat their remarks were not for publication. To this day, her estate watchfully guards this correspondence. The film would mark the screen debut of Julie Andrews, with her winning a Grammy and an Academy Award for the performance, beating out Audrey Hepburn, who was not nominated for the role that she had originated in being Eliza Doolittle, My Fair Lady. Big drama at the time.
From drama now for some of us.
Many people, Toby, in 1994, 2 years before her death, P.L Travers Great Life has a very weird relationship with Mary Poppins now. Made a final attempt to control her legacy, selling the theatrical rights to Mary Poppins to producer Cameron Mackintosh. Mackintosh would go on to say she realised I was her best chance. So her way to fuck over Disney was to get into business with Cameron Mackintosh.
Again, an icon.
Do you get why I was like, I need to go deep on P.L Travers' lore because this woman was crazy and an icon, and we need to talk about her more. She would pass away in 1996 before the musical could be made. In 2001, Cameron would team up with Thomas Schumacher and get into partnership with Disney. This would allow them to use the original music from the movie. Because you can't say we're doing Mary Poppins the musical and not have like Let's Go Fly a Kite,
Spoonful of Sugar,
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah.
People would get refunds. Around 2002, Styles and Dwork heard about the new collaboration and wrote a demo song entitled Practically Perfect for the producers. Once they listened to the song, they were brought aboard for the creative team. Fellows had been brought aboard for his clear understanding of the social niceties of the English class system that prevailed in an Edwardian era. He was the guy who wrote Downton Abbey.
Okay.
Rounding off the production team were Sir Richard Eyre and Robert Crawley, designers who had worked with the Royal Shakespeare Company, Royal Ballet, and Royal Opera. The workshop for the musical was held in 2003 at the Old Vic Theatre using the cast from the recently closed production of My Fair Lady. It would feature the direction of Richard Eyre and choreography by Matthew Bourne. The first production would take place at the Bristol Hippodrome in 2002 with Laura Michelle Kelly playing the role of Mary Poppins. It would be the first Disney musical not to premiere in the US, and still is to this day. However, reports are indicating that The Greatest Showman is going to be opening in Bristol before going to Drury Lane.
Because it's so loved here for some reason.
We're obsessed.
I've actually never seen it all the way through.
Nor have I. I walked out halfway through. I was bored. When I walked out of my living room.
Yeah. I've just for some reason like never seen it all the way. I've seen clips. I've seen a couple scenes here and there from when it's been on. My younger sister was obsessed with it for ages.
Yeah, she's the right age demo. It's not good. The music's not good. I don't like it. I don't know what else I would say about it. Fun fact, MIT, no, that's an academic institution. NTI, Musical Theatre International, had Bristol being listed as being in London.
Incredible.
That really cracked me up. So the show would spark controversy when Cameron Mackintosh and Thomas Schumacher banned children from under 3 years old from entering the theatre, deeming it too scary for young children. The ban remained throughout the show's entire run, with the official tagline being, "For children 7 years and up." Several scenes from the film were omitted, notably scenes where Uncle Albert laughing on the ceiling and dancing with penguins in Jolly Holiday, which were replaced with dancing statues and a trip to Miss Shop, respectively. The musical generally places more emphasis on Jane and Michael being naughty children and their parents having more of a dysfunctional relationship. Mrs. Banks is no longer a suffragette, but a former actress. And Mr. Banks is... Yeah, I have thoughts about that, chick. Mr. Banks' backstory is a lot more fleshed out. Yes, we get quite deep into the childhood trauma of Mr. Banks.
They just love that guy.
Yeah, there's a whole movie called Saving Mr. Banks, all about P.L Travers' supposed daddy issues. And a handful of musical sequences have been placed in different order of chronology, bumping up Let's Go Fly a Kite to the middle of the show rather than the end. Yeah, Let's Go Fly a Kite is like 20 minutes, 10 minutes into Act 2.
That's kind of insane.
It works. We'll talk about it, but it kind of works. They would transfer to the Prince Edward Theatre in 2004, as planned. It would have a stacked cast with Laura Michelle Kelly, Gavin Lee, Carrie Hope Fletcher, just as Jane on some nights, Melanie LaBarry,
insane,
and Lindsay Hortley from Carrie in the 80s as Winifred Banks, Mrs. Banks. So let's see what the reviews had to say. The Guardian gave it 3 stars. Does it fly? Like its heroine, eventually. But it's surprising how long it takes for this musical based on P.L. Travers' story and a Disney film to go airborne. For much of the evening, it is characterized by a mechanical professional efficiency rather than a quality and ecstasy we all look for in musicals. Ecstasy, sorry. or at a moment of pure transcendence is the ultimate justification for this musical. It is there in the Rain and Spade number in My Fair Lady, or in America in West Side Story, or Blow Gabriel Blow in Anything Goes, or to be more topical, in Springtime for Hitler in The Producers. But it's a long time coming in Mary Poppins. At first, we get decent dramatization by Julian Fellows for the story of seemingly starch-nicked nanny who humanizes a pair of snotty middle-class kids. A familiar move in the numbers by the Sherman brothers are unrolled so we can hum along pleasantly to Chim Chimmery, Spoonful of Sugar, and the famous polysyllabic on rather dashingly staged. John Styles and Anthony Ware have also added new songs to decidedly mixed results. Practically Perfect is an excellent number which introduced the nanny heroine, who, for all of her brisk and charm, Laura Michelle Kelly radiates a certain smug belief in her own brightness. But a little number called Temper Temper, in which the toys in the nursery claim their territorial rights, adds little to the show, except to make it scary for the very young kids. Yeah, I was scared of that number when I saw it. I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was crazy. For much of the evening, the show is mildly pleasurable, but there's little in it to persuade me it is any better than renting the video. Two things happen. One is the character of Mary's employer, Mr. Banks, who takes unexpected depth. There is a moment where David Haig, who plays him superbly, returns home after being suspended from his investment banks and barks furiously at his clamorous children. It is a real life has suddenly intruded. No praise is too high for Haig. In later scenes, he sits on a park bench in a new Styles and duet number and sings about good for nothing off Cherry Tree Lane. It is a song about dashed hopes and dreams, and it is unexpectedly touching. Happily, we get to see Haig restored to his fortune and flying a kite, agreeing to spend more time with his children. The evening works dramatically because Haig is the reclamation of a father so moving. But for one moment of genuine ecstasy, you have to wait until about 9:30, the moment where Mary Poppins and her bit rough Bert lead a chorus of chimney streets into an astonishing dance step in time. Presumably, this is the handiwork of choreographer Matthew Bourne, who fills the stage with a riot of movement of brooms and brushes that fill the air with spoofy splendor. The best moment comes when spider-legged Gavin Lee as Bert continues his tap movements and climbs the left side of the stage over the proscenium arch. Yes, he tap dances on the ceiling. It is crazy to watch. One is finally disheveled by a moment of pure excitement that they've waited for all evening. After the Mary Poppins dramatic flight over the auditorium is a small beer. Indeed, it reminded me of Dame Evra Everidge achieving a similar leverage in one of her shows. Although Laura and Michelle Kelly mixes Thatcherite sternness with fairy godmother beginning as Mary Poppins, her performance lacks that authored oddity that one recognizes star quality. Although this is a professional show, I go into musical to be dispatched into seventh heaven, and I have simply blended in Step in Time that not only raises the roof but takes place on it and is a hymn for diagnostic joy of dance. That although this is basically being like, it's fun. That's kind of it. New York Times, Ben Brantley would say. Her friend Bert is a chimney sweep who knows what to say when the day is grey and ordinary. Mary Poppins makes the sunshine bright, although, truth be told, there's not much sunlight in this stunningly staged, bizarrely ambivalent new musical called Mary Poppins. Sentimental yet sinister, the show is steeped in Circadian shadows where an unhappy family festers and vengeful toys arise at night to attack children who mishandled them. There is definitely an enchantment afoot, but is not always on benevolent order. That will strike anyone as the case. The young and pretty Miss Kelly, who makeup makes her look a bit like career late Joan Crawford. She has had a suffering smile and feeble eyes. I kept vaguely expecting the children of the super nanny's care to exclaim, "Oh, please no, nanny dearest." It seems that Mary and Bert escape the gloomy day by stepping into a drawing of summery landscape. The alternative universe is not crayon-coloured cartoon creatures a la Disney. Instead, it is a Giselle-style park where silvery naked statues come to real life and a pagan abandon. It is a chipper enthusiasm to find themselves in the distant themes melding of this torn family this Mary Poppins addresses, the cautious part of the mind that keeps its self-help books on bestseller lists. Even at hefty 3 hours, Mary Poppins is not a bore. Neither is it a rip-roaring delight. After all, a production by Sir Cameron, whom a show just isn't a show without a little levitation. Think the flying chandelier in Phantom or the helicopter in Miss Saigon. It is exceedingly thrilling to see Miss Kelly airborne as a by kite and by umbrella, even more so watching Mr. Lee tapping his way upside down across the proscenium arch. If Mary Poppins as a whole never ascends to the epitome of great musicals, it is because it feels so at odds with himself. That's all very well for Mary Poppins to encourage her changes to feel the discouraged from where they are. At first, but it helps at first if you know who you want to be. It is synopsis time.
Yay. Okay. Precocious children Michael and Jane Banks have exhausted every nanny. That is, until Mary Poppins drops in on a strange breeze. Revel in the spectacle of this chimney-sweeping epic that sees them traverse the roofs of London to encounter colourful characters in a fantastically magical world. Some adjectives.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
What do I have to say, Mary Poppins? Because I saw it under a week ago. One, I like this version of Mary Poppins, like the character. She is a sassy bitch. There are many scenes with like parents where they're like, "What the fuck have you done today? Why are my children saying this shit?" And she's like, "I don't explain myself," and it just kind of walks off.
Icon.
And then because there's this whole subplot around Mrs. Andrews, because like Mr. Banks is like, "Oh, there'll never be a nanny as good as Mrs. Andrews, my nanny." And at first I thought they were making a Julie Andrews joke. And like we were never gonna meet Mrs. Andrews, it was just a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And they kept bringing her up, and I was like, oh, this is like a big thing. So Mary Poppins actually leaves at the end of Act 1.
Okay.
Because
I feel like I remember.
I don't think this happens in the movie.
No, not in the movie, just in like
in like general.
Yeah.
And because like the children are fighting and being mean, and what you call it, Mr. Banks is being an arsehole. So she's like, peace. This is after the children's toys come alive and tell them off.
Which is a great bit.
They rewrote the song. It's not called Temper Temper, it's called something else, but it's still unhinged. And I was sat there going, what the fuck is happening? Because that first act is long for a children's show. I was looking around going, when's the act break happening? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious happened. And I was like, okay, act break. Like, we've just done a big musical number. But I like the fact that they almost end it on a moment of, oh, what's going to happen now without compromising the story?
Yeah, I think the thing with Mary Poppins is that it's always done really well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of hard, and I've said this about many shows, but it's kind of hard to fuck it up.
I
think the added intrigue of being like, is Mary Poppins gonna come back?
Because she does just speak in riddles the entire show. Yeah. She's like, I'm chatting my shit, and if you don't understand me, get on my level.
Which is really fun.
She's a fun gal. But
she's a very fun, like, children's character.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mary Poppins returns. The Banks family are thrown into chaos.
A great movie.
We'll talk about it though. We're going to talk about that. So she leaves at the end of Act 1, and you're left thinking, oh, what's going to happen? And they have the end of Act 1 close with Bert talking to the audience again, because he starts it with talking to the audience. And then the Banks family are thrown into chaos. Winifred and Mr. Banks, I cannot remember, George, are fighting. And then Winifred's like, I found her. I found Mrs. Andrews. Mrs. Andrews appears, right? And then the children run away from home, and Bert has been told to look out for the children. Mrs. Andrews is like a bitch. Mrs. Andrews is like abusive and like stole all the joy from George's life, and that's why he's like that.
Okay.
And so George runs away from home. The children run away from home, and Winifred is like singing a song like she sung in the first act called Being Mrs. Banks. Like, Winifred has this whole subplot. Instead of being a suffragette, she's like a bored stay-at-home housewife trying to find her place.
My God, just make her a suffragette.
She does have kind of a feminist awakening at the end. There's a lot going on in this musical as I'm like repeating it to you.
That's what I'm gathering. I feel like maybe it's just been way too long since I've seen it. But this sounds insane.
This is crazy. Like I was sat there being an adult, being like, this is crazy, and also none of this happens in the movie. I appreciate the balls of this was definitely a camera move to
Yeah.
gut this thing, if that makes sense,
I mean,
and
the
be
thing
like,
is,
we're
it
not
just
doing the stage show, we're not doing the movie on stage.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, it does just sound like fun though.
Dude, it was so fun. And then they do Let's Go Fly a Kite because Bert was told to watch out for the kids. And they're like, oh, let's go fly a kite and like get your mind off of it. And so they're flying their kite and everything's in shambles, but they're singing this song. And one of my favorite moments of the whole entire show happens. The kite gets stuck, right? And then all of a sudden, like the way that they had it staged, when I saw it, they had like
I think I know what's gonna
the
happen.
ensemble, like almost in black and white, like flying the kite, and they had like a sunset almost happening, and then all of a sudden Mary Poppins appears and flies down, and it's just such a great stage picture because the music goes quite operatic. But it's just like, let's go fly a kite. It's so good. And she just like
That does
reappears.
sound-
And so then she goes back to the Banks house with Jane and Michael. Jane and Michael are like, Mary Poppins, there's this bitch in our house. Father's left. You know, come back. We need you, Mary Poppins. And then what happens next can only be described as Mary Poppins and Mrs. Andrews have a diva off,
Okay. Okay.
where they are both like singing opera whilst trying to attack each other.
Okay.
It's amazing.
I feel like this is kind of what I mean because like I've seen Mary Poppins, the movie. I'm pretty sure I have seen the show.
Yeah,
Like I'm 90% sure. I was just probably very young.
yeah,
And like this all seems insane.
yeah, yeah.
But I'm like, surely I didn't think it was insane when I was like 5.
No,
Like surely I was just like, yeah, fuck it. Mary Poppins is gonna have a diva off. I'm sure I didn't think that.
that
Something
was.
similar.
I was like, I cannot believe Mary Poppins is having a diva off right now, but I'm obsessed with it. And then like they throw like Mrs. Andrews down the stairs, and George won't come back to the house until Mrs. Andrews is gone.
Incredible.
And he's like disheveled by this point, and it's so strange. But what I'd like to say about Mrs. Banks is that there's this issue that Disney musicals have in total, in like general, and the musical we're doing another Disney musical next week, I believe, and the musical we're doing next week has this issue, 100% every day of the week. They don't know how to take these characters, which are very cartoony, obviously, and make them sustainable for a 3-hour stage show. And they're too afraid to mess with the formula. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That Act 1 closer, you are counting down the seconds until that happens because we're like, how the fuck are we not at that point in the story yet?
Yeah.
And so Mary Poppins, by being like, we're going to do an amalgamation between the Disney movie and the P.L. Travers books, which are two very different things. And so, yes.
Also just kind of a bit of fun.
Mary Poppins is going to have a diva off. Mary Poppins is going to be a bit crazy. Yes. Okay? Mrs. Banks is no longer going to be a suffragette. She's just going to be an Edwardian woman being like, what the fuck do I do with myself?
Yeah. I feel like this is an issue you get in most adaptations of things to musicals, where I think some characters have to be sacrificed in certain ways.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's, we need to cut this character out. Sorelli in The Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, yes.
Where is she? I miss her every day. Where's Sorelli? Philippe! Where the fuck is Philippe?
Yeah.
But
asking
it's
deep
kind
questions.
of, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, they aren't as needed. We can still tell a story without them. And then in other ways, it's just kind of, the characters have to lose a lot of their agency. Because it's like, if we are changing who Mr. Banks is, and he's kind of emotionally distant, he's kind of a dick, then Mrs. Banks cannot be a suffragette, cannot be a feminist, because she wouldn't stand for that. So therefore we have, in order to make Mr. Banks a more compelling character for a stage show, Mrs. Banks has to lose her character.
Yeah.
Which is really, because in an ideal world, you'd be able to have every single character be fully developed to the same extent. And that's just not feasible. And obviously, Mary Poppins, it is weird that this is where this has come up.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that Mary Poppins is the show where it's like, I hate this show because Mrs. Banks is not upheld to the same standard.
Mrs. Banks is weird.
She is not treated right by camera. It's like, yeah, obviously it's a kid's show. They the development of the characters kind of comes secondary to it being entertaining and fun for kids to watch.
Yeah.
Whereas other shows, which definitely all do the same thing, we've kind of just been like,
I don't know, I think because like the image of like Mrs. Banks like dressed up like in the sash is so like,
she
in my
also
brain.
has a little
Sister Suffragette.
Yeah, we agree that as a group there are
Other
stupid.
stupid. At the end of the musical, she has this thing of like men are dumb, and everyone laughs because it's like, oh, there's Mrs. Banks.
Yeah.
But it works, and I had a good time. I had a really good time. I was explaining this to friends at a party the day after because I swear I'm not a complete loser. I did go see Mary Poppins by myself on Friday night, but I'm not completely.
He was talking about other things too.
Let's talk about
just Mary Poppins was at the forefront.
No, because we were talking about the ending of Challenges. I meant, yeah, like I understand what they were doing, but in the moment I was just so caught up in like how good the movie was that I wasn't really thinking about it, you know?
Mm.
And I was like, I think about media so deeply that when something is able to make me turn that part of my brain off, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like there was one moment, like I was like Mary Poppins, for example, like I loved it because I didn't want to know how they were doing things like having Bert dance on the ceiling because it was just so fun that he was dancing on the ceiling that I was too busy to think about that, you know?
Yeah. Like, I think it's really nice to have shows that are just fun.
I needed to just go sit
like I think
there
we
for,
talked
like,
about this with Hairspray, whereas like it's just kind of like obviously you can critique it. It's just kind of fun, and I feel like Mary Poppins. It's kind of hard to even critique it because it's like, well, it's for kids. Like it is kind of the bare minimum of what a show can do. But it's fun. It's colourful. A lot happens.
And they actually take into consideration the art form of theatre.
Yeah.
And they go, we cannot have these quite flimsy 2D characters sustain our 3-hour show. We need to change them. We need to kill our darlings.
Yeah.
Another thing that I've always appreciated about the Mary Poppins score is just it's not always bright. Do you get what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
There are moments where it's quite dark and those really excite me.
It's like
Feed the birds.
It's very whimsical.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Like it's always kind of this is a nice melody, like I kind of feel like I'm floating.
Mm.
But then if you're like actually listening to it, it's like, oh, feed the birds.
There's a lot of trombone here. And actually, wait, this is quite sinister. The bird woman used to scare the shit out of me as a child.
I think you've told me this.
To be fair,
my thing was like Mary Poppins was never sorry about this, Esme. It was never like my favorite film, like at all.
It was a big part of my childhood, if you could tell.
Yeah. I think I guessed. But yeah, like I've never really watched it. I loved Mary Poppins Returns when we went to go see that. That was good.
Lynn, our dear friend Lynn Miranda.
That one was actually kind of a banger.
Yeah.
But it was also just Mary Poppins too.
Something I was gonna say. And I think it's very interesting, and I think it's very smart, and I really enjoy it. So what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and then when I did Mary Poppins when I was like 7, girl playing the bird woman, I was always a little bit scared of her afterwards. It's like she's the bird woman. Yeah. Also, I thought the girl playing Mary Poppins for like 5 years afterwards was just the coolest girl ever.
That's so cute.
And then like one of my friends became like friendly with her. I was like, that's so cool. We're friends with Mary Poppins. It was like years later. But you know what? It's just like those things. Like
yeah, to be fair, when I was
younger,
whenever like one of the girls who was playing like a lead role would talk to her, like, my God.
Still remember the name of the girl who played Mary Poppins.
Yeah, full name her.
I can't full name her. I can only first name her. But when one of my friends like became friendly with her and was like texting her once, I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. I didn't say this out loud because I was like 12. I was like, that's so cool. You're like texting Mary Poppins, but like I can't say that. But like, does she know she's cool? Yeah, just really love Mary Poppins. I don't know what else.
I think it's one of those shows that I find really hard to talk about in any real depth.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's Mary Poppins, man.
It's whimsy, it's fun. She's a lot sassier than you remember. There's a lot more to it than you remember the musicals kind of a bit crazy, but it works. It's a successful piece of theatre. You're never sat there
Yeah.
going, when's this gonna happen? You know?
Yeah, I think it's nice to have a show that there are songs that you know are going to be in it.
Mm.
Kind of like what we're doing next week.
Yes.
Where it's like there are songs that I'm expecting and I will look forward to them. But I'm kind of just along for the ride. I've actually never seen a show of what we're doing next week.
I've seen it twice, which is kind of
Yeah, I
crazy
know.
how that's worked out.
I've never seen it because I'm a fully grown woman.
I like a Disney show every now and again, okay? I don't go see Moulin Rouge, I don't do drink boxes, but every so often I'd like to go see a Disney show.
I love doing this and then, like, ask me what my favorite books are.
What's your favorite musical?
Listen, that's different.
No, Tuck Everlasting is really
have...
deep.
No, it's really deep. I actually don't have my copy of Tuck Everlasting right now.
No, is it at home?
No, I gave it to someone to read. Guess fucking who?
You gave them your copy of Tuck?
Yeah. Someone's ignoring me right now, basically. Someone wanted communication, and then when I communicated with them is pissed off.
That's crazy.
And I gave them my copy of Tuck Everlasting.
I can't believe you parted with it.
I really didn't want it. Has all of my kind of weird notes in it as well.
You always said it. You were like, you'd have to get your own because this has got my annotations in it. And I was like, fair enough.
Well, it's Joe Biden's birthday today. Happy birthday, Joe Biden.
Happy birthday, Joe Biden. I love the fact that America has a president at the moment I can forget about.
Yeah. Anyways.
I love Andrew Lloyd Webber. Him and his little cat, his little dog have just come across my timeline again. Outstanding. Anyways, I like a Disney show every now and again. Every like once every 2 years, I'm like, I'll go see a Disney show.
I'll go see something.
I'll go. I don't do jukeboxes. I don't do Moulin Rouge. This is my jukebox. This is my Moulin Rouge. You know?
I feel like I should go see Moulin Rouge at some point.
I was thinking about this. I think we really should actually.
I think we should get really drunk and like get kicked out.
I'm not getting kicked out of Moulin Rouge. I have some class and decorum. You can get kicked out of Moulin Rouge. I will not be joining you.
I won't get kicked out of Moulin Rouge.
Okay. Out of respect for the theatre. That's
out
more
of respect for my fellow theatregoers and for the performers.
Yes.
I have no beef with any of them.
No. I'd beef with the show as a show, but not anyone in it or anyone around me.
Exactly.
We should do the Bohemian Day seats or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever the fuck they do.
I'm not paying full price for that shit.
What is the Bohemian whatever price like? It's like 20, 30?
So
would it be cheaper to rush it?
No, that's the rush. That's what they call the rush, obviously.
Ugh.
So it can't be fucking normal.
What's it actually like to book it?
To book it?
I'm gonna look.
I'm looking right now.
We're getting distracted by Moulin Rouge. From 28.
Okay, so we can go on the 10th of December for £28.
Well, I'm not here.
I was about to say. And then it is £40 or above until...
Well, that's, Christmas.
Until February.
I can't fault them for that.
No, actually, until early January.
On the 7th. Jesus Christ.
Moulin Rouge makes a shit ton of money.
We go in January.
Yeah, we can go January 7th for £28.
I'm sick for £28.
Do you want to know the price points? It's £28.51. Yeah. Do I have classes?
So it is technically cheaper to book it ahead.
By £2.
Yeah, but that £2 is a lot.
This is what we mean by we really do debate every single theatre purchase we make.
Yep. We could be seeing like our favourite show in the whole wide world.
Guys.
And we'd still be like, but £20 is a bit much.
We didn't know it at the time, obviously, but when we went to go book Hadestown, there was a 2-month-long serious discussion about Hadestown ticket buying.
Yeah. Well, we were like, I don't know if we're gonna like it, so maybe we shouldn't spend a ton of money on it.
And I was like, I think we just have to go see Hadestown.
I think we just need to go.
I got to the point where I was like, it's embarrassing that I know nothing about this show. We have to go. Yeah. And also, I had listened to a recording once and I was like, there's something there. I can't figure out what it is, but there's something there that's speaking to me. So, at the Olivier Awards, they've been nominated for Best Actor in a Musical, Best Actress in a Musical for Laura Michelle Kelly, Best Actor in a Musical for Gavin Lee, Best Performance in a Supporting Role in a Musical for David Haig, Best Theatre Choreographer for Matthew Bourne, Best Lighting Design, Best Set Design, and Best Costume Design. They would win Best Actress in a Musical for Laura Michelle Kelly and Best Choreographer. They wouldn't win a lot that year because of the producers. It was kind of a stacked year. It would close in 2008. In 2006, they would be announced that they were playing Broadway. The New York Times would review it again with Ben Brantley saying, again, she glided through the skies like an umbrella, powered stealth bomber, ready to jump for her cargo in advance at any suspecting. So I'm arranging my next Taylor Swift club night, and that's a very important duty for us. When she talked ground to the stage on the New Amsterdam Theatre, you can't help but noticing that she looks like Joan Crawford. What is it with Mary Poppins, Ben Brantley, and Joan Crawford? Does he need to see a psychiatrist? Yes! Well, look at them long enough. Well, it took them long enough, didn't it? 2 years since the reality series first appeared on the Fox networks, the one in which stern British women shape up clueless parents with hopeless children. It wasn't until last night that Nanny 111 911 the musical finally opened. Oops, my apologies. That isn't the correct title for the handsome, hauntingly panicked, rather tedious show at the New Amsterdam Theatre. Is Mary Poppins. I think my confusion is understandable. Ben Brantley just compared Mary Poppins to Super Nanny.
Icon.
He
Ben
also
Brantley's kind of insane.
Huh?
Ben Brantley's kind of insane, though.
He also compares her yet again to Joan Crawford. Like, this is twice he's done it in his reviews.
Nice.
Over, 2 years in between.
Few bits.
Do another Dear Diva. I'm
Dear
begging. Dear Diva. Although based on a classic fantasy book series by P.L. Travers, 1964 Disney movie, it inspired this mega musical is ultimately less concerned with inexplicable magic than the practical psychology. True, the title character, played by a fiercely smiling Ashley Brown, still works a sort of sorcery that only a high-end musical budget allows. She flies, glides up banisters, she makes cuddly toys turn into as menacing as Chucky. Whether Bob Crawley's spectacular Edwardian set threatens to fall apart, she restores order to chaos with a wave of her gloved hand. But be warned, in this high pedigree show produced by the Disney Company and Cameron Mackintosh and staged by eminent British director Richard Eyre and wonder choreographer Matthew Bourne, every act of sorcery comes with a fortune cookie life lesson attached, an operating philosophy, it seems, as if a spoonful of sugar a spectacle helps the medicine go down. While talking about the closing number, this is talking about Bert, he would say, well, I certainly hope so, Mary Poppins, but in all due respect, is heavy and visible on a family, considering that you tote around makes it hard for any magical nanny to fly beyond the familiar horizons. Ben Brantley's would. However, it would be nominated for Best Musical, Best Performance by a Leading Actor in a Musical for Gavin Lee, Rebecca Luker for Best Featured Actress, Best Scenic Design, Best Costume Design, Best Choreography, and it would only win Best Scenic Design. Because it was 2007 and Spring Awakening was there. Truly an insane selection of shows in 2007.
Honestly, yeah.
It would play for 6 years on Broadway, with Disney doing their classic Disney thing of closing a show to open another. They would be replaced by Aladdin. Elizabeth Taylor, who was Lydia in Beetlejuice, was one of the closing Janes. It would come back to the West End in 2019, with just the year before Mary Poppins Returns, starring Emily Blunt and Lin-Manuel Miranda. Was it set during the Great Depression? During the Depression?
Maybe.
I have a memory of them being poor.
Well, so it was the same bank's children.
Yeah, it was like Jane and Michael have grown up. The mothers died, so it's Michael's children.
Yeah, and Jane is just there.
Yeah.
And she was kind of a suffragette.
She wears jeans.
Well, yeah. And I want to say there were 3 kids, but there might have been only 2.
Yeah, there were 3 children. 3. What I'm thinking about now is Lin-Manuel Miranda's accent, TBH.
He was great.
Triple O Life Fantastic is actually quite a good song.
Triple O Life Fantastic.
With May.
With May. I liked the cover is not the book.
I was listening to that today, actually.
It's actually kind of like a really good Mr. Banks, the new Mr. Banks Jr.
Yeah, it's set during the Great Depression. Yeah, so like, how are we going to keep the house?
He has a great song.
Yeah, Place Where the Lost Thing Goes or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, that's someone else. But yeah, he's like, oh my god, I don't know how I'm going to keep this house.
Yeah. He's like in an attic or something, and he's talking about his dead wife.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. But because of this, Never a man to miss an opportunity to make himself some cash. Cameron Mackintosh would go, "We're bringing back Mary Poppins to the West End," with him saying, "It's the first time the theatre's been available, so we've had to wait patiently. And also, Disney had the film last year, so we'd be silly to confuse the public by bringing this back. We were on tour 3 years ago to enormous success. We knew the film was coming out, so we had no point. We had to wait for the film." Cameron, you are a good businessman. Hot take. He knows what he's
He
doing.
knows what he's doing.
Believe it or not, Michael Billington, the same guy who reviewed it the first time for The Guardian, gave it 3 stars and didn't really like it, would review it again in 2019 and give it 5 stars, saying,
Okay.
"I was rather grudging with my praise when I first saw this musical in 2004. Richard Eyre's production based on the P.L Travers stories and Disney movies supplementing the Richard and Robert Sherman songs with new ones by George Stiles and Anthony Dwyer was remarkable for its clinical efficiency rather than pulsating joy. Either the show, which has enjoyed a long UK tour, has changed, or I have. It now strikes me as rapturously plausible. The ecstasy, which is the hallmark of a good musical, I initially found in short supply, is now present in at least 3 numbers. In A Spoonful of Sugar, thanks to the illusions of Paul Kinnear and Jim Steinmeier, partially destroyed kitchen is restored to pristine order. The polysyllabic song that starts with super is also becomes a world-spinning Cockney backing call. Best of all is Step in Time, where the London chimney sweeps enjoy a night on the tiles led by the admirable Bert. At this point in the show, quite literally, comes when Bert tap dances horizontally on the walls of the proscenium and then upside down on the arch. It says a lot about Charlie Stemp that he can retains his boyish joyfulness whilst dancing austere-like on the ceiling. The biggest change lies in this casting of Zizi Strelin as Mary Poppins. Long before she flies over the audience, she suggests that there is something unearthly about this life-enhancing nanny. Every balletic. I think that means like ballet. Like, she doesn't just exit a room, but she floats out, off with arms extended. That's something I also noticed when I saw it. The way that they have the Mary Poppins stand is always like otherworldly. Like, she is always stood with her feet like outwards, if that makes sense. Like, she's in like second position or something.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of fun.
It makes sense. It does give her this otherworldly vibe. Given that the choreography is Matthew Bourne and Stephen Mear, it is no surprise that Stralin is something of a duality of the heroine of Swan Lake. On one level, Stralin is a brisk taskmistress. On the other, she's a bright-eyed heavenly visitor whose mission to restore harmony to the Banks family. In an excellent performance, Stralin conveys an inconsolable mystery of Mary. Good work from Joseph Milson as the broody Mr. Banks and Amy Griffiths as the frustrated wife. Claire Matchins as the cook who, unsurprisingly, since the book is by Gillian Fellows, seems to have stepped out of Downton Abbey. The bonus is the ageless Paula Clark, appearing as the literate blood bird woman. Travelers, scholars may miss the darkness of the books, but the rest of the show is a unassable treat, and Ayer's production is filled up to the heart. It would be nominated for Best Revival of a Musical, Best Actress of a Musical, Best Actor for Charlie Stamp, Best Theatre Choreographer for Matthew Bourne and Stephen Mear, Best Set, Best Revival. I wrote down Best Revival twice because the Olivier's page is weird. And Best Featured Actress for Petra. It won Best Choreography and Set. It was a weird year. It was the 2020. It was our version of like the COVID year. And Dear Evan Hansen won far too much for my liking. And Angelia also won far too much for my liking. It would close early 2023 and it then would return to the Bristol Hippodrome to start the UK tour 20 years after it first premiered.
Jesus.
So yeah, that is Mary Poppins. I don't have any last thoughts actually.
Love Mary Poppins.
I want to go make my dinner.
Same.
So yeah, we are next week are doing Frozen, the musical, talking about another Disney show because it's cold, it's dark, we all just want some joy in our life, and it's winter.
We can just say this now. Esme has had her heated blanket on.
Yeah.
All recording, and I've had a hot water bottle all recording. I'm wearing a vest, a t-shirt, a jumper, and an hoodie, and a hot water bottle, and 2 pairs of socks. It's fucking freezing.
I'm wearing a thick jumper and a heated blanket that I've had to turn, like, it turns itself off because it gets too hot. I just immediately turned it back on. I was like, not on my watch.
It's kind of too cold right
Yeah,
now
it's too cold to
to do
function.
any like hard shows.
Like, we're not doing anything too deep between now and the end of the year. I
Yeah, it's all
refuse.
just kind of cute and quaint.
I also have essays because my uni just my end of term essays because my uni decided to be fun and cool and quirky and not like other unis. I want to kill whoever made this decision. On that note, long live the Gatsby on Broadway. I take back everything bad I said about Ryan McCartan today. That's a joke. Yeah, see you guys next week for Frozen. Follow us on
Frozen.
social media. If anything big news-wise happens, I do make a TikTok about it. I made a TikTok about Hadestown. I was a bit drunk in that video.
You can tell.
You can tell because you know when I'm like drunk.
Yeah.
Hence the West London accent out on full force. And why I'm dressed in a pink sparkly top. Anyway, see you guys later. Bye bye. Let me stop it.